Okay, so good evening, everyone, and thanks very much for everyone turning up on this call. As you have probably seen, my knowledge isn't in the greatest part to do with technology, but I'll stop apologizing about that. I thought about this a great deal about how to go about this particular training on a product, because one thing that we're all very aware of is that we're in a lead-up process to the actual delivery of this company. And one thing we've got to be very, very careful of is being sure that we stay the right side of passing wrong information or information that may be close to the wind in terms of compliance. So I thought about it a great deal, and then I decided the way I'm going to deliver this tonight. And a lot of you have heard me say these things before, but I want to set the scene for why I'm doing it this way. I'm going to talk about one product tonight. Originally, I was going to talk about two. But when I started to do some research, I found that the amount of information that would be required to cover two products and give them the amount of respect they're due just became so vast. So I'm going to stick with one product tonight, and I think there's a real value in doing so. But to set the scene for you, you all know that we live in a nutritionally bankrupt society. Of that, there is no doubt. We are in a place where the foods we're eating are really just deficient of all of the nutrient value that we need. I believe that today, to get the same level of iron from one bowl of spinach in 1937, you'd have to eat 60 bowls of the stuff today. So that just tells you what's going on. And it's going on because of the agricultural policies that have been created around the world, all to do with profits. And so not to get too much into that, one has to recognize that the amount of illnesses and problems that are rife and pandemic now, not just this country, but all over the world, are occurring because of nutritional deficiencies on many, many levels. So if I go back over the last 30 years of all the education and all the work that I've done, covering many spectrums of illnesses within the health industry, I come down to five simple keys: food, air, water, exercise, and mental attitude. And tonight, this is going to be very much about the importance of these particular foods. And you don't need to take notes of this, because if someone's recording this, and I hope someone, someone is, you're going to see the value of these particular foods. Now, most of us, and let's say 99% of the population, would not understand where to go, to get what they need to get to sustain normal physical health. And one thing's for sure, your body is the best doctor you're ever going to come across, but we need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of specific nutrients on a day-to-day basis, everything from amino acids, essential fatty acids, fiber, you name it, right across the spectrum. And when we think we're getting it from our food, what we're actually doing is seeing a nation that is becoming overeaten and yet completely malnourished. And that's what's happening in our current society. So when we look back over the last 50 years and we say, well, why has cancer increased so much, 1,000-fold from what it was 50 years to today? Why has diabetes grown such a vast amount in the last 30 years? Why have all of these diseases grown so much? Well, it has to come down to something very simple. And if you think of it from a logical perspective, food, air, water, exercise, and mental attitudes are the five things that we have to pay real attention to. So even if we understood then that we are deficient in nutrients, and even if we understood what nutrients we needed, what's the real possibility of us being able to go and get them? And that's what leads me to this particular slide here about the importance of these specific foods. And I'm sure you'll have heard of some of these foods many times over many years. And some of you have been around a long time, and some of you not such a long time will have heard of them. But the first one I'm going to start with tonight is this one called wolfberry. Now, wolfberry is an interesting substance because it's called by many different names. But why is my slide not moving? There we go. Called by many different names, but the most common name for it is, of course, the goji berry. And everything that I'm going to talk about on this first section of this presentation tonight has got valid, well-researched, documented evidence to support it. So I'm talking about individual fruit substances that have been around for a very long time. And the goji berry is one of them, over 5,000 years old. And in fact, It was first explored in China thousands of years ago, and it's been cited by several ancient Chinese medicos since the Tang Dynasty, which is a fair few years ago, for its multiple health benefits. And although I'm going to run through all of this, it's going to be available on these slides for you to actually, from the recording, to take more note of it afterwards. Um, but its benefits are, as the Chinese would say, for nourishing the yin, and the yin yang theory is fundamental in traditional Chinese medicine. Yin represents the material part of the body, while yang represents the energy and function of the body. But it's very, very powerful at strengthening the eyes, the liver, the kidneys, and nourishing the blood. And wolfberry fruits are used in many herbal formulas to maintain overall health when suffering from chronic conditions, such as weariness, and no laughter at this, please, but weariness in the loins and legs, dizziness and ringing in the ears, visual degeneration, headaches, insomnia, chronic liver disease, diabetes, TB, if anyone remembers TB, which ended just after the war. They took notice of it, hypertension. But ancient peoples used the wolfberry as a fruit to make teas and soups and stews as a big part of their diet. They even turned them into wine and chewed them like raisins. And scientists in modern China have extensively studied the wolfberry fruits and their nutrients for many medical benefits. So it's not just something that I'm saying to you here that's just been concocted out of nowhere. This is reality of what these products can do. So as I said to you, what I'm saying to you here is available on these slides that you can get later on in this recording, to be able to digest a bit slowly, a bit more slowly if you choose to. And that's the important thing for you to understand. I don't know why this is not moving on my key. So Maggie, if you can come back online and tell me why I can't click it down, that'd be good. Never mind.
Do you want to change to the next slide, Ray?
Yes, yes.
Okay, if you can just hover your cursor over the actual picture and click on it, and it should change. If not,
Oh, my word, look at that. A Welshman, I'm so grateful for you being online tonight. Not only a Paralympian, but an absolute wizard when it comes to technology. So thank you for that.
I did listen in school.
So as I said, this information you can take down much more as you go on later. You can pause it through the recording, etc. Wolfberries also have further substantiated ancient medical applications, such as maintaining healthy immune systems, including specific and non-specific immune response, improving eye conditions, and all of the things that I've already said, antioxidant value, anti-aging processes. And that's why wolfberry is such a valuable individual food. But would you know where to get it? Would you know how to use it? Would you know how much of it to use? Probability is no. But would you agree so far that it sounds pretty exciting stuff if you knew where to get it? The next thing I want to talk about is going to be alfalfa. And alfalfa, most of us have heard in many parts of life and in the past. But the alfalfa plant is very valuable because it's one of those plants that sends its roots 20 to 30 feet down into the soil. Now, you'll have heard this over many occasions, I suspect, that, you know, the soil that we're growing our foods in are minerally deficient. And that's a reality. And one of the reasons alfalfa is such a valuable substance is because it sends its roots so deep down into the earth, where the earth has not been contaminated or not been deprived of any mineral values. And so alfalfa is able to pick up all of those minerals. And of course, our body needs 72 to 74 trace element minerals every single day in balanced form in order to make our bodies operate properly. And it can be anything. You know, we think of minerals as just calcium. But calcium is only one substance. And most people think, well, I get lots of calcium because I drink milk. Well, we feed cats milk, but cats don't really like milk. They actually prefer water. You know, calves are meant to drink milk from cows. Human beings are meant to drink breast milk or water because we don't get calcium from it. We get calcium from green leaf vegetables. That's where it comes from. But the value of calcium, we all know. But think about other things like iron and boron and zinc, and all of the impacts that they have. Copper, for instance, if you've got lots of grey hair as a younger person, there's a probability you've got a copper deficiency. But most people don't know this because we should be getting it from our food. We've known for many, many, many years, every single thing that we need as human beings to sustain natural life is in its own plant form right there in front of us. But we just don't know how to get it these days. So alfalfa is rich in vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients that play a vital role in strength and growth of our bones. And of course, we understand over many years now the level of problems that are directly linked to bones, especially ladies suffering osteoporosis. But osteoporosis is no longer just a female problem; it's very much a male problem these days because of a lack of the nutrients our body needs. So it contains protein, vitamin A, vitamin B1, B6, vitamin C, E, and vitamin K, and potassium. And I talked about potassium on Saturday, you know, because it's such an important substance in the body, just for maintenance of, well, it covers so many areas, but just in fact, without it in your body, in simple terms, your heart's going to not continue to tick. And that's an important thing, I hope you'll agree, that needs to be kept going. So, the next thing I want to move on to is going the wrong way. Going the wrong way. Okay, what? You will have to come back on and tell me why it's going the wrong way.
If you press enter, it should take you through the slides in the right order.
Okay. Okay. Next one I'm going to move on to, which is in the original list anyway, is hibiscus. And a lot of us know hibiscus as a flower. You know, we never think of it as anything more than that. But as you can see here, you know, it's been cultivated all over the world. In Egypt and Sudan, it's used to help maintain normal body temperature, to support heart health and encourage fluid balance. And, you know, all of these things have come around from thousands of years of experience, as opposed to just me sitting here telling you this. North Africans have used it internally for supporting upper respiratory health, including throat, and also they use it topically to support skin and skin health. And here in Europe, we use hibiscus to support upper respiratory health as well, but promote proper circulation. It's traditionally used for supporting normal blood pressure. And in Iran, it's also been used and validated in several recent studies on this very issue. So again, it's one of those really important substances that we wouldn't know the value of it, or how to use it, or where to get it, or its ongoing values. So it's important that we understand all of these for a particular reason. So moving on to the lovely watermelon. How many of us have sat on the beach and thought, well, it's just water? Well, there are some amazing health benefits of water. Of course, consuming fruits and vegetables are always valuable and important, and it's long been associated with the reduced risk of many lifestyle-related health conditions. And many studies have increased that increasing consumption of plant foods like watermelon decrease the risk of obesity and overall mortality, diabetes, heart disease, and it promotes healthy complexion and hair. And in fact, it's very closely linked to increased energy and overall has a great value in lowering weight. And it's not just watermelons, because it's also alongside the cantaloupe and honeydew watermelons. They're all members of the same family, and any one of them that you'll find you'll get the same values from. But I'm not suggesting again that these are the types of things that you're here to learn tonight, because we're leading to a particular product that you need to understand the value of. So by identifying all of these particular ingredients, you'll get to see the value of what this is actually worth at the end of the day. So we also know then that it's very useful for asthma prevention, and it helps to lower in people and consume high amounts of certain nutrients. One of these nutrients is vitamin C, and we've used vitamin C for such a long time because it's so effective in the management of helping the body to manage cancer cells. Blood pressure, we're seeing these days, especially in more women than men, the problems of heart disease that are occurring in women these days because of a lack of vitamin C in the body, and vitamin A, which of course leads to all of these problems that you can see here. As I say, as an excellent source of strong antioxidant, vitamin C, as well as other antioxidants, watermelon can combat the formation of free radicals known to cause cancer. And if you've ever looked into cancer as a particular issue, you look at the Italian or the Mediterranean peoples. And of course, in the Mediterranean, they eat vast amounts of tomatoes. And tomatoes are very, very high in a substance known as lycopene. And when we look at that and we identify that their diet is directly related to the instances and the levels of cancer being occurring in the Mediterranean compared to here in the UK, and indeed in other parts of the world where tomatoes are not a big part of the diet. It's a very significant consideration. So moving on, watermelon has got so many values and so many important aspects to it that you can use it to help to support the body in so many ways. But watermelon can also have a negative effect, and eating any fruits and any herbs and substances without understanding the quantities and the mixture of how to have them can create problems too. Because as you understand, herbs and substances they are the medicine cabinet of nature. And if you use too many of them in the wrong way, you can end up with problems too. But identifying what these things are valuable for is important for you to know, because where you're going to end up is understanding what this can actually do for you. So I'm going to click through for this because you can understand what I'm saying here, that the values of these particular foods are absolutely immense. Muscle soreness itself, and when we think we're going to be talking to a lot of sports people that are going to suffer with this type of problem, it will all lead you to where you need to understand a bit later on down the line. I tend to waffle a little bit here because it's one of those things. So moving on, kiwis. We all love kiwis, and most of us won't even understand or recognize the value of kiwis. But if you relate kiwis to vitamin C, a kiwi is far more powerful. In fact, 273% of the daily recommended amount of vitamin C in every 1 cup serving of kiwis. They are far more valuable in vitamin C than a basket full of oranges. And that's an important thing to consider, because vitamin C has such important roles in the body, as I've already said, especially with blood clotting or coagulation of the blood in the body. So important to know that. Kiwis also contain good amounts of vitamin A for the skin and the bone and tooth development, and so on, as you can read yourself, and I don't keep reading on about it. I mentioned copper earlier, and copper is especially important in kiwi because it's great for children. And children need to have good elements that come from natural food substances all of the time. But you know the problem. Where are we going to get it from? We don't know how to get it. Kiwi is also known as one of the few foods rich in vitamin B6, which supports the immune system. And of course, our immune system is our only defense. That's our only defense against problems and disease that we face today. Without a strong immune system, we don't have a lot of help, really. We're then going to be reliant on other sources to help us to fight off disease and problems that we face on a day-to-day basis. So one other thing to recognize in all of this is that kiwi seeds are an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids. So I've always said this, you know, the old adages of, you know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's always the seeds of the fruits that we actually eat that have far more value than you can imagine. And in this instance, we're talking about kiwi seed, or I was talking about apples, sorry. Apples contain laetrile, in other words, a form of B17, or its natural occurring cyanide. And in its natural form, it can only destroy cancer cells within the body, unlike some drugs that destroy all cells. So there's a real value in understanding the importance of eating the seeds within fruits that are, of course, normal to eat and easy to eat. So kiwi seeds, for instance, as I say, are great for omega-3. And research shows us that shows us that it may reduce coronary heart disease by having good levels of it in our body. Something else that it's been proven to help with is the prevention of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism, and other developmental problems in children. So it's really important to know the values of these foods and what they can actually bring to our families and to people that have them. But oftentimes it's very difficult to get our children to eat all of these things, or, as I say, to even know where to get them. So moving on, as I just said, I'm just going to move on. I've said all of this. I'm just going to move on to the next one that's listed in the first slide. Rhodiola rosea, a flower, also known as golden root. And for a lot of us, never heard of this, but it's a potent natural adaptogen. And we heard of this before, and you've heard this said before. The word adaptogen is from the Greek adapto. It means to change. And what has been found of many plants that live in high mountainous areas or in challenging areas, such as in ice conditions or in low oxygen conditions, is that plants are full of adaptogens because they have to adapt to environments. And that's so important for us, especially who live in such a stressful life, because our body has to be able to adapt to the stresses and strains of life and the deficiencies that we suffer. And our body is very good at adapting as long as we've got the ability to support it to do that. And so this rhodiola promotes physical and mental health on a great, great scale, and is so important for us to know about. And for a lot of women today, I see, in fact, I was talking to one today, a lot of women that suffer with problems connected to hormones, and especially the thyroid. You know, ladies, when the eyes pop and the goiter starts to appear around the neck, or directly related to either underactive or overactive thyroids, and the other things that we suffer that, either weight gain or weight loss, or an inability to manage weight. Rhodiola is so valuable in being able to help to maintain a healthy functioning thyroid. But again, how much would you take? When would you know to take it? How much of it? In what way would you take it? And that's the problem that we all suffer. So just going on a little bit from this, a final thought about this particular flower, this particular adaptogen, is it's a fantastical herb option to support physical performance as well as energy and mood in us as individuals. So you've heard this product that we're going to talk about tonight. It'll all make sense, so hopefully it will all click together. That it's so important for us to have adaptogens within our body that come from the natural food substances to help us through the modern life that we actually focus on, or we actually face today. So again, moving on to the next one, and this is, to me, I think one of the most powerful substances on the planet, and it has several different names. Mucuna pruriens, again as an adaptogen, and it's used on a worldwide scale. And this is in its natural form, you know, growing on its within a bean, and every single part of this plant is used. In fact, they use the hairs from the outer casing of this plant to kill parasitic infections in the body, because it's so effective. So it's a really valuable product. But I want you to also, please don't laugh at this, but it's a very important issue of what we face on a day-to-day basis now, is some of these issues. It builds fertility in men, which is such an important thing that we face today. The amount of problems being faced in low sperm counts and low motility sperm with men is increasing quite dramatically. But it also increases the libido, and I will be taking orders for this product at the end of this particular product at the end of this presentation if anybody wants it. I'm not going to read out all of that because you can read some of this yourself, and I don't want to offend anybody. But these are real issues that are being faced on a day-to-day basis by people that need to be considered, because many people would never verbalize this, never speak of these things, but wouldn't know where to go to get what they need to try and do something about it. This is also important for something that is really concerning to me. The level of Parkinson's disease that we see on the planet today, and the way that it's been approached and dealt with from a traditional scale, is not perhaps the best way one can look at this evidence. And the studies supporting this information that I put in front of you is so vast about L-DOPA that comes from Mucuna pruriens. You know, it's been shown to be safer and more effective for controlling Parkinson's disease than the pharmaceutical drug levodopa. And I'm saying this because I have the study to evidence this. It's not just about me actually saying it to challenge one thing or another. There is sufficient evidence there to show that. And that's an important thing for people to understand. when they're looking at this. And this is not for you to repeat, because all I want you to get out of this tonight is the value of what's about to be put in your hands, what's available to you, and what you can do to help support your bodies, but more importantly too, the people that you care about that are around you. Because these products that I'm talking about are so valuable and so more adaptable than anything I've ever come across before, that it's important for you to know about. Over the years, I've worked with many, many, many recovering drug addicts. And, you know, it's a real challenge for these people, because drug addiction is a disease. It's not a choice of will, it's a disease. Now, I know that's open to everyone's perspective, but they suffer huge amounts of problems related to depression that are directly affected by L-DOPA in their own bodies and can be changed by it. So this particular Mucuna pruriens is a really, really valuable substance to know about. The next one we move on to then very quickly now, because I know this is taking a lot of time, is the proven benefits of this ashwagandha, which is an amazing substance. Sanskrit means smell of the horse, and that's literally what this herb smells like. Absolutely amazing, because this has over 59 proven scientific health benefits, and yet have any of you ever heard of it before? Have you, any of you, ever dug into this before or understood it? And I want you to run through this and just have a look at it. This is one single herb and its scientific value.
Raven?
Yes.
Sorry, it's Bill here. I'm just holding up a label I've got here of some ashwagandha, because I have heard of it and I take it, and it's absolutely fantastic.
So, and Bill, for any one of you who don't know, has been around this industry for as long as I have and understands why this particular substance is of such value. Thanks.
It's so calming. It's incredibly calming, helps you to sleep, lowers your blood pressure, does absolutely everything, adaptogenic, as you say, fantastic.
Okay, so everyone can read through this, you know, massive antioxidant. So we all understand the value of antioxidants with free radical damage in the human system. A massive anti-inflammatory, and a lot of you have talked to me, or heard me talk about inflammation. And if you think about arthritis as an issue of inflammation, 127 vagaries of arthritis, not two. Most people think of osteo and rheumatoid. There are 127 vagaries of it, all underpinned by inflammation. We look at diabetes, underpinned by inflammation. We look at multiple sclerosis, underpinned by diabetes. If we look at colitis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, all underpinned by inflammation. So do you think this might have some value for people as a substance to help prevent us getting into those situations? So I'm sure you've read all of that, so I'll just move on for it. But look on, this is number 11 to 22. It has huge anti-cancer activities, and something that we've used for a long, long time. And this is evidenced that this substance has huge effects with all of those cancers and many others at the bottom of it. So is this an important substance for us to understand about? I think it probably is. And then we go on. As a neuroprotective, look at how much do you hear about Alzheimer's disease these days? Huntington's disease. If you've never come across Huntington's, it's one of the most awful diseases that I've ever spent any time around. And I in fact worked with a guy who was in his 80s, an extremely intelligent man, and seeing the effects of Huntington's disease, where it creates such fear in an individual, they just never sleep. And that's huge, huge problem. But when you can introduce ashwagandha to these individuals and help with these types of things, what an important substance that is. Moving on, because I said there's 59 of them. It promotes heart health. It's a great anti-diabetic. It reduces pain and fever. Have you ever heard of this before? At least some of us have. 33 to 36, and this is really important for ladies to understand. Because ladies, you face so many challenges these days with regards to the hormonal imbalances that your bodies are suffering because of the toxins in the environment, because of the hormones in the food, and of course it affects us as guys just as well. But how often, 20 years ago, we never heard so much about the levels of the levels of breast cancer that we see in this country today. We never heard of the levels of uterine cancers and colon cancers and all of those things, which are directly related to, or can be directly related, sorry, to the levels of hormones and the balances of them in the body. This is so important for you to understand, because this is something that I think every woman should know, purely because of that level of issue right there. So many girls that I've met over the years that suffer from fibroids in their body, and really in dire straits because they don't know what to do. And of course, the drugs they've been taking doesn't help to resolve that. And we'd go on from 45 now to 49. Look, protects the liver, the gut, the pancreatic cells, the kidneys, helps with respiratory problems, morphine defense, genetic disease, muscle growth, longevity, and it prevents seizures. And I'm just going to get to the very end of it so you can actually get it. That's all 59 of them. We don't stand much chance of getting bitten by snakes in this country, the last one. But even so, it has valuable effects in that too. In fact, when you read the research, you should ask yourself this question. What is it that ashwagandha doesn't help with? Because it's such a great substance for everyone's health. Moving on then, blueberries. How many of us eat blueberries on a day-to-day basis? A really important substance because it's a proanthocyanin. You heard me say oligomeric proanthocyanins. Well, the black skin of a blueberry is so rich, and one of the richest substances on the planet in proanthocyanins. And a lot of us wouldn't know where to get them. Often in the old days, we used to get proanthocyanins from grape seeds as the richest source then. That's going back to 1948. But of course, blueberries today have been discovered to be a much richer source of proanthocyanins and so valuable to us as an antioxidant. Moving on then, just to Brahmi. If anyone's ever heard of Brahmi or Bacopa monnier, this is an amazing substance as a plant as well. It's commonly used in Ayurvedic medicine in India, has been for thousands of years. And it's got an age-old reputation for being effective and a powerful herb, helpful for memory and combating stress. All of this will start to click together with something that you've heard of fairly soon. It also acts as an adaptogen, which means it helps the body to adapt to new or stressful situations. I've gone the wrong way. Why has it gone that way? Go back. Oh no, please come back up. Okay, someone tell me. There we go.
On your keyboard, Raven.
Good man, I've got it. Yep.
Got it? Okay.
I've got it now, yeah. Thank you. Just go back to prayer. So yeah, it's great adaptogen, great for stressful situations, and as I say, it helps support all of these particular issues. Then moving on to the next ingredient that we started to look at the beginning, and this is as well, Hawitaki, or otherwise known as Haradi from the Gujarati, and we call it Haradi in the formula that we use, which comes from the Gujarati word. It's called at least 7 or 8 different names, dependent on where in the world it comes from. But Hawitaki is the common name, but because we use the Gujarati form, that's the word we use for it, Haradi, and what we actually have as a product. And you'll see it in many places, but it's amazingly well used for weight loss and supporting a weight loss process, because it helps to remove toxins from the body and keeps the digestive system in peak order. And one of the problems we have in our modern society is because we're very, what's the word, sedentary. We're not moving as much as we would have done 20, 30 years ago. We tend to build up acid in our body because of that lack of movement. We are, living in acid society, so we don't have enough alkalines. But it also helps with the assimilation of food. It's a natural blood purifier and has so many values that we would want to be using on a day-to-day basis, I'm sure. In lots of parts of India, they use this in the hair to prevent lice, because it stops lice infection and dandruff. But they use it as a hair oil. I'm not recommending you use what we're going to be putting in front of you as a hair oil. Nevertheless, just so you understand some of the values of this. Moving on from there, we also know that it's extremely valuable for coughs in adults and in infants and adults. It's phenomenal for constipation, and how many of the British population are suffering constipation today? It's just phenomenal when I talk to so many people over the years that when I say to them, do you go to the toilet, do you empty your bowels every day? And they say, well, not every day. I say, well, what, every other day? And once a week? It's ridiculous. And it's all to do with our digestive systems and the food that we're actually eating. And so what we have here is something that's amazing, supporting that constipation area. Great for skin, acne, acidity, diabetes, mouth ulcers. I'm sure that a lot of you on here have heard of somebody or know of someone who's you can identify with something that I've said here tonight as suffering with one, if not multiples, of these issues, and yet you wouldn't know about it. So Eleuthero, the secret to better strength and stamina for athletes. And what is a big area that we as a company are going to be involved in? A lot of athletes that are looking to improve stamina and looking to improve their strength and abilities, speed, performance, etc. Well, this not only increases our strength, but it also helps with our sexual function, improves sleep, helps the body during times of oxygen deprivation. And it's so important to keep the body oxygenated in the right way. It helps support our cardiovascular system, and it overall improves athletic health. And there it is for you to take a note of. We're getting close to the end. I know this has been a lot, but I want the importance of this as coming over as a long-winded, lots of information to hit you with something very, very important at the end of it. There's a real value I hope you perceive from it. So moving on from there then to the top 3 benefits of amla. Amla is a fruit that comes off these flowers. And as you can see, it's brilliant for cholesterol reduction, for diabetes and cancer protection. Really going to whiz on to rhododendron. And lots of us see rhododendron as a pretty flower in the garden, of course, which it is. And it's one of the, I can't remember the name of the species, but rhododendron has a huge value in the medicinal world. And unless you're a herbalist, I guess this is not something that we would ever know about. But it's brilliant as an antimicrobial, fights all of the things that you can see on the bottom of the screen. Now, I've said a huge amount. So if I said to you, look, if you knew where to go and get all of those things on a day-to-day basis, I'm going to give every single one of you an opportunity right now. At the bottom of your screen, there's a chat box. And in that chat box, I want you to write 2 words. If I could show you where to get all of those ingredients in a perfectly synergistically balanced formula that you can take on a day-to-day basis in perfect safety, understanding that what you're getting and what that's giving you and what that's helping you to achieve in your body, I'd like you just to write in your chat box right now, everyone please, because it's got to be one or the other, yes please, or no thanks, because you can get it for under £1 a day. So just write yes please or no thanks. Would you or wouldn't you, in realistic terms? I whizzed through all of that information, and believe me, I've only touched the surface, because when I drill down into each and every item that I've talked about and I looked at every piece of research, the amount of information governing all of this is just phenomenal. So I just want a yes please or a no thanks. I don't know what's going on with my screen, but nevertheless, I'm going to move on because that might get rid of it for me. If you could have all of that in perfect balance for you and your family, think of your children, think of your grandparents, think of your husband. I'm sure there's a joke there somewhere, but never mind. For less than £1 a day, would you do it? And I'm going to have a look at what everyone's saying. So let's look at the chat. Everyone's saying, yes, please, yes, please, please. I've got to have 1 no thanks. There's got to be 1 no thanks. There's got to be one. 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 No, there's not a single person that said no. Good. So everyone would want that. So I'm then just going to give you this disclaimer for a moment, because what I'm about to show you is going to give you all of that. But I have to use this disclaimer because it's part and parcel of the fact that what we are entering into here with this company, Isagenix, we do not make any medical claims, diagnoses, prescribe, or treat any illness whatsoever. We are in the health and wellness transformation industry. And what we are giving people is food, superfood. I've just identified all of those foods, which we can, and they are foods, which are all edible, which have such amazing values to them that we can scientifically evidence, which is out there and available for anyone to go and check. So based on everything I've said, you've all said, yes, please, I would like that. So in that case, there's something that you can't forget to buy. And that's it. Ionic Supreme. The most powerful product that I've ever seen in its form, ever seen. And all of the ingredients that I said right the way through it, there they are, all listed again at the bottom of there. And it's always important, I believe, to actually look at the ingredients and the balances of those ingredients and why they're in there, because every single one of them, some of them overlap. There is no doubt about that. But they overlap for a reason, because in the world of nutrition, when you put 2 and 2 together, you make 11. And that's what this product is. Ionic Supreme, I believe, and in my first 30 days of taking these products, it had such an impact on me, which was quite dramatic. So last week we talked about the cleanse and why it's so important to cleanse the body and get rid of the toxins out of the system. And today we've talked about the next substance, Ionic Supreme. Can you see that for less than £1 a day, giving yourself all of that is going to dramatically help to protect you and your family's life? That has got to be one of the most powerful products on the planet. I absolutely love it. And I found out more about it in the last few hours doing the research that I've done to actually go through this and really dig into those ingredients and to find the studies in support of those particular ingredients as to why they would be in there. There's not one single ingredient added into this product that does not have a real nutritional value to our physical health. A lot of products that we come across over the world, over the different companies, have got all sorts of ingredients in them that are actually there just to fill it out, or just to be the carrier, or just to be the substance that really has no value other than bulk. You know, we are these types of people that we think the bigger it is, the better it is. Not always so. This is an amazing product, and I urge you, when you get the opportunity to, buy it in the little thin sachets as opposed to the liquid, because it's easily transportable. You get exactly the right amount in every dose that you use. The impact on you will be instant. Athletes absolutely love the ingredients that we've talked about here, because whether you heard this or not, but Jenny Briscoe, who was with us at the weekend, who is the IFF female bodybuilding champion, or certainly the number one in Canada and has been, said something very important. She said, actually, the gym is only 30% of what I do that makes me the shape I am. 70% of what I need to do and get right is the nutrition. That's a big statement for an athlete. So here we have that wonderful opportunity for people to take real notice of it. So Colin and Jane, I hope you enjoy the Ionics that you're just pouring out for yourselves there. It's a really great idea, and I'm not going to tell anyone else what that Ionics is. It's white wine, people, okay? It's white wine. I hope you enjoy it. So what I'm going to do now, if I may, with all of you is, I'm sorry this has been a long process, but I really would like to open this up to anybody who wants to ask any particular questions. So I'm going to unmute. I think that's unmuted you. Yep, we have 35 people still on the line. And if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, please feel free to do so. I'm not saying I'll know the answers.
Hi, Raven. Scott here.
Hey. Hi, Scott and Kim Keeble. How you doing?
No, very well, very well. Thank you very much for asking. Just got a quick question. I've been in and out. I have been listening, but I've been in and out and missed some of your slides.
Yeah.
I want to know, for epileptics, do we have any information on the products for them at all?
Again, if you talked about me answering questions about using these products for a specific disease, I can't answer that specifically in this forum, because we are not allowed to treat, diagnose, or anything else. So, Scott, all I can tell you is this, is that if you think of this from a logical perspective and then want to talk to me privately, that's a different issue. But from a logical perspective, if our body operates on 5 issues: food, air, water, exercise, and a positive mental health attitude in a broad spectrum statement, then if those are the foundational building blocks of our physical body, if we have the right balances of all of those, we see disease not as rife as it is today. And I'm being careful about the words that I say. So all I would say to you is to please speak to me separately if it's a particular issue you want to talk about. But in this public arena, we don't treat, diagnose, or as I've already said several times, you know, this is food, 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 food. But food is what makes your body work. And I'll tell you why I know that, because there was some geezer a long time ago, I think his name was it Hippocrates, was it? And he said, let medicine be your food and food be your medicine. And that's the real answer.
Yeah, you know, the reason I was asking is just really to find, I've got a very good friend who is very athletic and wanted to use some of the performance products. But he's epileptic and he just wanted to know if it was safe for him to use as an epileptic.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a really good question from that perspective, because, you know, food is food is food. And anyone who eats food can eat this product. Anyone who eats food can eat this product.
Cool.
Unless they have a specific allergy that they are currently aware of to anything that they are currently aware of. And if they're unsure, then get them to go and check with their doctor to check with their doctor if it's okay for them to take that. But what they are doing is infusing their body with superfoods that can only increase and improve anyone's ability to maintain your immune system and stay as healthy as possible. Okay?
Scott, from a personal point of view, I'm epileptic and I have not had an issue with any of the products yet. The only thing you might have to check is his epilepsy medication, if there's any interactions with that. But that's on a personal basis, and that's something that he should check with his GP or neurologist.
Yes. Did you say with medications, Maggie?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The research that I know that I've looked at, there is nothing that I have seen that will interact negatively with any medication. But if someone's taking it, always advisable to get them to check with their doctor if they're unsure.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, Raven. Thank you very much, Maggie.
Thank you. Any other questions quickly? Just another
Raven, Raven, I'd just like to say something.
Yes, Phil.
Raven, I've got something happened to me 4 years ago where I dehydrated severely. I won't go into the whole story, but I dehydrated severely, and 3 days later I got a stroke, and I had a full ischemic stroke. I was only in hospital for 2 days, but when you come out of hospital, they give you a bag of drugs.
Yes.
And everybody gets the same: statins, beta blockers, you name it.
Yeah.
And because I was involved in health, and because in fact, I should never have had the stroke, but that's another story. But having had it, the last thing I wanted to do was to be on drugs.
Yes.
And I took a bit of a risk, according to the doctor, but as far as I was concerned, I was taking no risk at all, because I knew that the drugs would all have side effects. Everyone would have a side effect. And I also knew that I had the products, and some of these are the ones we've been talking about, and some of these are in the natural form, obviously, we've been talking about, that would do the same thing. Now, 4 years later, it took me a little while to get over, because it's a big thing, but nobody would look at me, I don't think. They might look at me and think some things, but I don't think they'd look at me and say, you've had a stroke. And some of the, obviously I had to research this a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my life was at stake, if you like, if I didn't do the right thing. And as you went through those ingredients, there's about 4 major ingredients in there that I've been taking. One of them, I'm holding a capsule up here, but as I said, that's the label, is ashwagandha. And I can tell you that ashwagandha is probably, you know, we often say that you take a health product and you don't really notice much difference. You know, people take them. Well, ashwagandha is probably, and I've taken many natural health products, ashwagandha, I noticed immediately the calmness, I could test my blood pressure coming down, and a whole host of things that it does, as you went through that list of about 50. Also hibiscus tea, I take and so on. So all I'm saying basically, in a nutshell, is that recognizing a number of the things that are in that one product,
Yes.
that type of thing has enabled me to get through something that nearly everybody would have to do drugs for. And I have taken the natural route, and through these natural, completely natural foods, have avoided all of that, and effectively am 100% cured. Yeah. So
2 things I'd like to say about this, Bill, if I may. First and foremost, the sad thing is that when we actually start to do something about our health is as a response to the fact that we've got a problem.
yeah,
And what we're about as an organization, as a people, as a group of people, is to try and help people to avoid that issue in the first place, by giving them the right nutrients.
Yeah.
The second thing, when it comes to strokes, and I always say to every single person that I ever take the time to spend any time with, the best prevention for stroke is take a glass of water to bed with you and drink it before you.
I do it every night, and not just at night, during the day.
Yeah.
Good water as well, good filtered water. But obviously all the things like watermelon, you just said watermelon, the average person would never have dreamt that, but it's got L-arginine in it,
Yes.
which keeps your arteries open. And who would know that? It's just a simple thing you see at the supermarket, and you'd never know that could be one of the major things that's keeping your cardiovascular system really in tune. You know, so it's a very powerful product, that Ionix, no doubt about it.
The beauty for everyone here is the fact that, you know, these products that I've talked about tonight has been so well researched, and there's a man, Bill, who's actually had to spend the time as a result of a problem and come up with some of those major ingredients to resolve that problem. The vast majority of people wouldn't know where to start, and what's more, wouldn't have the inclination, because as a human race, we're lazy and we can't bother. We'd rather trust someone else's advices and put the responsibility on someone else. If we don't wake up as a human race, we're going to stop waking up altogether.
Sorry, Ray, just one point on that, and that goes back to what Phil said on Saturday in Heathrow at the end, and he said we all have to take responsibility for our health, personal responsibility, and that's what these sort of products are doing. They're allowing us to have the best that there is out there, and they're certainly a damn sight better than going down the route of drugs for everything, that every ailment that you get, somebody pushes a drug on you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Bill.
No problem.
We got 3 minutes left. If anybody wants to ask a question, then do so. But whilst I'm just waiting for someone to pop up with something, I'll just say to you that there's a lot of information in these slides, and it's very difficult to try and get that information across to you. But if you want copies of this individually, you're very welcome to have them. I will try and take this recording off this computer if someone helps me to post it whatever you do with it, so that people can get it. So in final closing, any other questions, anyone?
Yeah, I got one.
Sorry, mate, just to let you know, because I've literally got to go now, because we've got an opportunity call now at 9 o'clock. But when you stop the recording,
yes,
the computer will ask you if you want to save the recording.
Right.
So make sure you click yes, otherwise you're not going to be happy.
Thank you, Mark. Oh, teamwork. Thank you very much.
Raven.
Good luck on
Thanks very much, my friend.
Who's next? Anybody? Did someone else want to say something?
Raven, hi, it's Colin. You're all right.
Hey, Colin. You're the man with the Ionix. I saw it.
It was organic
Ionix. I saw it. Very impressive, Colin.
It's to do with the ingredients. You're going about mass production of foods nowadays in supermarkets, and we're not getting what we used to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Where are they sourcing their ingredients and these products from them? Are they all organically farmed? Is it small production units? How do they get these in the quantities and the vitamins? And
that was a question that I asked right at the beginning when I sat in front of the Coovers and the scientists, and Sarah Richter said, "Are all the ingredients organic?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Why is that?" And she explained to me, because the company uses a very strict short band of where a product must fit into in terms of its quality. And some organic materials, which I now understand very clearly because I've never been a farmer, but some organic materials have 20 to 30 times too much heavy metal in them. That actually negates the value of their organic label, because they're too much heavy metals for the value that it would give to the body. It would then become detrimental. So you can't always look at something as being organic or inorganic as to whether that's the barometer to have them. So I could see that, and I accepted that. But I've always looked into things, level of rainfall, level of sunlight, natural environments, where it came from, all of that stuff. And what we have to look at here is when you look at the vast majority of the ingredients that we're talking about here, these are not mass-produced products. They are natural products that are indigenous to certain parts of the world. The wolfberry, for instance, it mainly comes out of China. And it grows in such abundance in China, it's not even a farmed substance. So these products are sourced from all over the world. And every single ingredient, or every single product which forms an ingredient of another product, is strictly evaluated and tested. Every single batch that comes in from manufacture is tested to a certain standard of level. Now, we, of course, as an organization, are going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And the demand is going to get greater and greater and greater and greater and greater. How that is managed from a corporate perspective, I have no idea, Colin, but I'm just telling you that what I do know about what we've got to date comes from high quality sources, well researched, well tested, and well manufactured and put together in a well balanced form. Hope that helps.
Am I reading you right? I'm listening to you right and saying it's going to cost you £30 a month to have. Is that what you're saying? Less than £1 a day?
That particular product, yeah, for a whole month's supply of it, if you used it every day. And that's not.
Is it daily?
No, you don't. I mean, I will use it every day. And the reason I'll use it every day, I don't know if you've tried it yet, Colin. The reason I'll use it every day is because the effects that it has on me, which I feel instantly, are effects that I would not want to be without.
Yeah.
And you'll only know that yourself when you actually try it and you get what it gives you. And I know this sounds a bit wrong, but the older you are, the more effects you get from it. You know, because you need it more. I'm not saying you're old, Colin. You're
I'm getting there.
Yeah. But the older you are, the better the effects you feel it, because it's a much greater stimulus to your system that you're desperately in need for. And of course, the older we get, the more we need good, solid nutrients to feed our body. If I looked at my daily requirements and look at, for me, spending £1 on all of that goodness for my body, it's a no-brainer for me.
Is this part of a 9-day and a 30-day cleanse, or is it a separate product altogether?
It's a separate product altogether.
Okay.
Yeah. You can order it as part of, but we still haven't had the release details yet of what the actual pack contents are going to be for here in the UK. I do know that it's one of our products, so all I'm talking about is what I know of the American Canadian systems.
Yeah.
We may well have it in our packs here, and I'm certainly, well, it will be in some packs, I just don't know which yet. But our flagship we're going to be leading with, of course, is going to be the weight management program. And I'm going to make a note of that, because I certainly would want them to include that in that pack if it's feasible.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I just want to thank you all very much for coming on tonight. I hope it's been of some value to you. And I will be talking about the next product next Tuesday, where we'll go into the shakes in detail, and we'll try and look at a way of communicating that to you that's of value. Anything anybody wants individually, please private message me, or anything I can help you with. I just want to thank you all for coming. But for now, good night.